Welcome to the Quick Stop F1 podcast. My name is Nyasha and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Joining me today on a Saturday, it's someone, look, the makeup levels, every time you come on screen, I'm just like, oh, beat. Oh my God.
Beat
to the gods. Tens across the board
10,
for the
10.
beat. Oh my God. It is none other than the queen of Saturdays. It is Tasha James.
Hello.
How you doing?
What's up? What's up, my DEI? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We're a bunch of placed people in this podcast industry. We're like the worst industry plants ever.
Literally,
oh my God. How's it going, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I started watching the 2007 F1 season. Nice.
Which race are you on?
So we actually just started Canada last night, but we fell asleep. I know. I'm losing it. I was telling Chris, I was like, you know what? Like, because, last season, everybody was comparing Oscar Piastri's rookie season to Lewis. And I'm like, honestly, in the first 5 races, it's incomparable. No offense.
Me off, bro.
He's led laps in every single race. He's been battling every single race. This man's been on podium every single race. Like, this is where it's incomparable. He's leading the championship at this point.
Relax. Relax. Honest to God, when that stuff was coming out, I actually just thought, the disrespect right now.
Right.
Let's not even take into account they were using points. And points only went up to 6th in 2007. And it was 10 points for a win. So literally half the amount of points. And they're trying to say, Oscar Piastri. And they tried to sneak a sprint race win in there. I was like, this guy's got actual race victories in his first season, actual podiums. Like, guys, relax. No,
it's crazy. Yeah, I was like, y'all are taking the piss, as you like to say. Because this is it. Was it the second or third race? He's on the radio like, I'm ready to win a race.
Man,
I'm like, I feel like y'all are underselling Lewis Hamilton in 2007 because this man was a savage. Like, I was not like, y'all are not talking about these little points and what he's saying on the radio. He's ready to win a race. He's only been there.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
He came in and he was like a juggernaut. It was just like a force of nature. Like Dave Chappelle has a quote where he was like, some people like to say they discovered Dave Chappelle. And he's like, that's like discovering sunshine. I was always going to shine.
Yeah.
And he is honestly from the first race, you just see the skill, the bravery, the speed. And how he rattles Alonso in that season. You've not got to Hungary yet.
And you already kind of see it. Like, I'm watching all the post-race stuff, in the end as well. And you can kind of see, Alonso's, pouring his little Powerade. He's, pissed off that Lewis is there with him every single race. I don't know. I've been enjoying it a lot so far. So I'm like, y'all are underselling this so much. It's a great season. And I feel like it's undersold because it's 5 races in. I'm like, this is amazing.
It's a great season. Obviously a dramatic and tragic kind of end, but it's a great season. I would really recommend anyone to go back and watch that season. Obviously 2008, 2012 was a great season. 2010 is a good season as well. So, it's actually funny because I was looking at Twitter today and everyone's all like, you know what? I just hate when people argue about the regulations and this era is so much better than that. And it's just like,
oh yeah, I saw that a little bit.
Oh, guys, honestly, you know what? Just nothing says F1 nerd more than comparing regulation periods, with no context, no nuance,
right, exactly, just black and white binary, one's better than the other. Yeah.
It's just someone said, the racing in 2022 was so good until Mercedes changed it, and I was like,
what?
Come on now.
No, it's not
come on. Relax. Relax. But no, 2007 was really good season.
Yeah.
So, we'll definitely come back.
I'm mad I fell asleep during Canada. I'm so mad. He's on pole. Come on now. Come on. This is crazy. I've been enjoying it so much. And I do understand the nostalgia, why everybody loves the car sounds. The overtaking was way different. The reliability, every race 5 to 8 cars are just out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a whole different era. I understand it.
No, look, I'm loving you getting into it. Please let me know once you've watched Canada, once you've watched Hungary. China's heartbreaking. But I think there's like the American Grand Prix in Indianapolis where Lewis and Alonso go like toe to toe, and like, you know, when you could tell these are two drivers that cannot stand each other like at all, and they're teammates, and Lewis just absolutely owns him. And like, imagine though, like that back in the day, he was a young driver, you know,
22, I think.
22, You know, doesn't seem young now with Verstappen starting when he was 15, and then, you know, we've got Oscar in there, and Lance Stroll started when he was, I think, 17, 18 as well. So it doesn't seem young, but at the time that was young. And for him to come in and do what he did against Alonso was incredible. So I highly recommend that season to anyone.
Yeah, it's great.
And then go from there. I guess, where should we start? Let's start. You know what? I'm wearing my official LH44 merch. Big up my boy Andy, who got this for me. So I stayed with Andy. When I moved to Manchester, I stayed with Andy, and then so I got down like, I don't know, like the 17th of January, I think. So he gave me this top on the 17th of January, and then obviously two weeks later, Lewis announced that he was moving to Ferrari. I was like,
exactly.
Good,
so good archival piece,
right? It'll be vintage, right? Retro. But Mercedes, every time I think that they won't say something to make it sound worse, they pull a rabbit out of the hat, and it's just the most incredible statements. So not only for the third season running is the simulator not matching up to the race, they've got a car concept which they've got this season which they don't understand. And what James Allison has come out and said is that the only thing they know about this car is that the warmer it gets, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Tasha James, explain this to me like I'm 5.
You know what? I would love somebody to do the same to me, because I actually watched the debrief where he said that. And the other thing he mentions in addition to this is the fact that, like, from P3 to quali, they didn't change the car setup, or at least not that much. So before, we were like, okay, they're tinkering with stuff and that's what changed. They were like, no, we found a good setup. We left the car alone. So the temperature was the main like factor in what like caused the car not to perform as well, which doesn't bode well, because all the tracks are warm.
We're about to go into
Nevada.
European summer. Like, it's going to be warm everywhere. Let me look at the schedule. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
So China might be fine. Okay, Miami, Italy, Monaco, Canada, España, Austria, Hungary. Like, guys, come on. Like, these are going to be... Britain probably will end up raining, but like, guys, like, honestly, I am... If I put this to you, Tash, can you see a way out for this team? Like, before, I would always kind of think that, you know what, I can look at 2021. There was an upgrade around the British Grand Prix, maybe, I can't remember, like around, they had one big upgrade that season, and it made the car a lot better, and it was closer to Red Bull, and, you know, whatever. 2022, like, maybe, you know, after the summer break, you know, the car looked really good in race pace. You know, it wasn't good in qualifying, but it's good in race pace. Last year, again, you know, there was points where you could see they would put upgrades on the car and it would work and it would go forward. Do you think that they're capable of that this season? Do you have faith in that they can turn it around? I don't think I've heard them so down on a car. And that includes the W13 and the W14. And I think the way they're talking about this car is 10 times worse than they were talking about the other cars.
And I think it's also the fact that they don't have, like, I think it's also just interesting listening to like James Allison. Like I said, I watched the debrief. All the questions that people were asking, like, do you know what happened with Lewis's engine? We don't know. Do you know why the car's not correlating? We don't know. Toto Wolff was asked something about like, the correlation issue between the sim. And he's like, they were like, well, doesn't like Aston Martin still use your wind machine? He's like, I don't know. So I feel like that's just like a bad sign to hear these people in these like leadership roles continually say, we don't know, I don't know. Then you have, in the first race, the second race, they had to revert back to the original floor from testing. So instead of upgrading the car, we're reverting back to, factory settings essentially. And, they're not talking about bringing upgrades the same way other teams have been talking about bringing upgrades for like the next couple races. So to answer your question, I don't know. I would hope that, this early on in the season, it's just like a growing pains thing. But then when you add it to the fact that this is the third season in a row, that's kind of what makes it a little bit of a hard pill to swallow, that they are so lost and so aimless. So yeah, I don't, just like Toto Wolff, I don't know. I don't know.
Honestly,
yeah.
How like much more do I have to come on this podcast and try to make sense of a team who can't even make sense of their own car, bruv?
Right.
Like, honestly, it is very depressing thinking about it, this season as a Mercedes fan, as a Lewis fan, Lewis clearly isn't at one with this car. Mm-hmm. And the qualifying, if we're being honest, has gone worse than last season. I know it's only 3 races so far, but still not great. So the fact that he's starting further back, and it's not like last season where the car had good race pace and he could kind of come through the field. Right. It feels like in terms of tire deg, it's not great. In terms of top speed, it's not great. In terms of stability and cornering, it's not great. Like, there's not one redeeming feature about this car. And then you have the leadership, and they look rudderless. I think I said, like, last year, I said, if this was any other team, like if this was Ferrari, Toto Wolff would be looking at losing his job.
Right.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Can you envisage? I mean, it's so intertwined with the fact that he's a 33% shareholder. Mm-hmm. He's so like, the success of the team is directly linked to whatever people try to say about Toto. He contributed to the massive success, to one of the most successful Formula One franchises of all time, right?
Right.
But where we're at now, do you see a situation where if this doesn't improve this season, do you see a situation where Toto can stay on, will stay on, or do you think maybe Mercedes might have to pull the trigger? Or how do you feel about that?
I think, I don't know. I do think he's someone to look at to leave the team, like whether on his own accord or they get rid of him, however that works, because you do look at other teams on the grid and, Ferrari swapped out Binotto for Vasseur and look at what he's been able to do in like barely a season as team principal. Like a lot of the team has turned around. Even down to Haas, Ayo Komatsu knew they have 50% less staff than most of the teams on the grid, which is insane. And even for their standards, they're making some headway. We expected them to be dead last in the standings, just because they were starting with a new team principal out of the blue. They're talking about their car because of Austin last year. That upgrade put them behind schedule for this year's car. So, they're kind of starting on the back foot, but they changed their team principal. And I think sometimes there is just something about fresh ideas, new ideas coming onto a team that can be helpful. And I do think that there's like some sort of stagnation happening on their team that I think has to kind of be removed from the top. Because when you look at other teams on the grid and they have replaced team principals, and you kind of see the progress they're making. We talked last week about Williams and Val's, like he came in, he was like, none of this is going to work, so he started making changes. And granted, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but you see that they're at least making progress and there's at least some ideas like in action. And I don't see action with Mercedes at all. So, yeah.
I think that's a really good point in terms of stagnation of ideas, right? We're in a situation where, yes, there has been people who have moved on from Mercedes and they've brought new people in, but it just feels as if essentially you've got the same team there who are struggling, like really struggling to get a hold of these regulations. And I think I said before that, yes, we've got the engine regulations coming in 2026, and that will be good for Mercedes because, Mercedes traditionally have good, decent engines. Obviously in the beginning of the turbo hybrid era, they had the best engines. That was basically how they ended up winning. And, going forward now, that would help. But we're still going to be in ground effect cars.
Yeah.
Right? Like these engines, you have a rocket in the back, but if you cannot understand ground effect cars, then it's not going to mean anything. And I just think stagnation is the word. Like we're plateauing, but we're actually going down. Like it's getting worse and worse and worse. Like, there was one race win in 2022, which was like essentially a fluke. Like, circumstances prevailed that Mercedes had a good car that weekend when Red Bull
they were there to capitalize.
They were there. They were ready to capitalize. Well done to George on that. Obviously, Lewis and Max crashing, whatever. 2023, not even sniffing near a race win. Maybe Singapore, again, strategy could have been better. I think Zandvoort, again, strategy could have been better. But really not looking like winning a race at all last season. This year, they don't even look close to getting on the podium, bruv.
Yeah.
Like, Ferrari are better. Obviously, Red Bull are better. Yeah. McLaren are better. Like, and by some distance as well. Like, do you know what I mean? And I just think, I don't know. I think for me, if it carries on like this season, who knows? They could bring some upgrades in and that could help. But if it doesn't get better this season, I can't see a situation where Toto Wolff can safely say that his job is safe because it has to start at the top. And I think they need new ideas and some new energy. Shake it up, try something, because what they're doing at the moment is just not working.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear a team principal say something like, "Oh, I wish I could punch myself in the face" or something. Like, I know you hate your job right now, but come on, like the self-degradation publicly is like, it's embarrassing. So,
Bruv, stand up, man. like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't piss me off, bruv. Like, I get it. Like, things are bad, but like, don't give, like, you're giving me the ick, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're actually like, oh my God, like, I'm not into like toxic masculinity, but be a real man. What kind of bullshit is this, bro?
Bro, it's crazy hearing him say shit like that. Like, or if you know if you have an idea of who can replace me, let me know. Like, this is not my job. It's not my job to replace you. Like, I don't want you to have to be replaced. Like, I want Mercedes to be a big, happy family. But if you're not doing your job, like, or if you feel like you're not the person for that, that's on you to find your replacement. Like, don't kick that to the public for like a Twitter poll. Like,
yeah, do you mean? It's not fucking Twitter Spaces, bro. Like, I'm not going to do a town hall and find someone amongst us who's going to step up and...
Fine, I'll do it.
Fine. Put on my Mercedes topper. I'll do it. Okay. Unbelievable. Yeah, honestly. Well, look, Mercedes, obviously... Let me ask you something real quick, actually. Mm-hmm. What do you think Mercedes are going to do with that second seat? So, obviously, I think we all know that Carlos Sainz is available.
Yeah.
We all know that. And Carlos Sainz has done the best thing possible for his career in terms of like how he started this season.
Right.
Who else is available? Alonso. I think I saw rumours of, they're considering Alonso for that seat as well. And his contract's up. I find the pursuit of Max Verstappen so embarrassing.
I do too.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have the facilities for that big man. Like, honestly,
I really want to be like, Sam, get away from him. Get a job, Toto. Like, Max is out of our.
Man, like, honestly, like, you're trying to check for the bad bees. Like, your pockets ain't deep enough for that, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, like, you're not that guy.
Yeah.
So, but who do you think? What do you think they're going to do with that second seat? Because obviously we saw George at the weekend do George things. I was actually watching the Bahrain Grand Prix earlier today. It was just on TV. And it was the point where George just went wide when, like, Leclerc was chasing him. And I was like, this fucking guy, bro.
That's what he do, yeah.
That's what he does. So, who do you think they'll get into that second seat if you had to put money on it?
Money? I don't know. Listen, this is, okay, sorry to, like, kind of sidestep this question, but this is another area where I feel like Toto Wolff is faltering a little bit. Because, you know, when they let go of Lewis, or Lewis left, you know, it was like, oh, well, age is kind of a thing. He's getting older. Maybe we'll put some young talent in the seat. We're looking at Kimi Antonelli in F2, and he's not having a great start to his season or whatever. But now it's, oh, well, maybe we can get Alonso. I'm like, okay, well, he's older than Lewis. So is this an 8? So, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying? Then it's, oh, we're looking for Max. And I'm like, okay, but Max is the number one driver. You just said that George is supposed to be the future of Mercedes and the leader of Mercedes. How does that coincide with what you're telling George? Like, if I'm George, I'm leaving, or at least I'm starting to look. Like, that's personally how I feel.
I mean, if I'm George, I'm counting my lucky stars that Lewis is going, and I even have a chance of being a team leader in that team. Honestly, he does not have the minerals to be a team leader in terms of, like, you know, we've seen him last season when teammate battles were going on, and his team radios last year were evident of a man who was not very team leaderish, like not very good under pressure. The crashes that he had last season on his own, they weren't crashes that he had, like, you know, with someone behind him, other than Singapore, but it was him chasing other people and crashing out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. No. So he should be thanking these lucky stars. I think I think they'd be foolish not to go for Sainz, to be honest. Yeah. I just don't see a better driver that they can get for a period of time that will be able to bring, like, setup, you know, good at, like, setup. Yeah. He's good at, like, pit strategy. He's strong on that. He's consistent-ish, like, you know. And then I just think he's probably a good person to have the next George. I think if they go for someone like Alonso or Max, and that car is shit. Yeah. The atmosphere in that team, like Lewis and his kumbaya, is keeping that team together by a string. If you put Alonso in there and the car's shit, do you think he's going to be all calm in that? You put Max in there, I can't see a situation where Max goes there, but, you know, you put Max in there, do you think he's going to be like all kumbaya and shit? It'll be even worse. At least with Sainz, you know, he knows how to toe the political line, and, you know, and he's a decent driver, and you can get him for 3 seasons, and then that allows Kimi to just have a normal fucking career, bro. Right. And if he needs a couple seasons in F2, he needs a couple seasons in F2. Right, let him grow, Let him grow. If you need to send him to another team, let him go to another team. Like, I just think Sainz is probably the one for me.
Is there a world where the drivers are offered a seat at Mercedes and decide to see what else is open? Because I guess, like you, the car doesn't look great, but I'm also looking at the team and I'm like, okay, operationally, it doesn't seem like they're going to be in a good place in a few years. If, you know, this carries on. So is there a scenario where Sainz is like, actually, I'm going to go somewhere else? Like, and they don't have a good second person in that seat.
Man, you look at this, you know, the way the season's going, and you look at Sainz, so you look at Mercedes, and you look at how that's going. The thing is, like, what other seats are there? Sainz could go back to Red Bull, to be fair. Like, so, for sure, if you had a choice between Mercedes and Red Bull, like, where would you go? Like, I don't know, where would I go? Right. But, you know, you look at does he take a chance and like go to Aston Martin and try to build that up? Does he, especially if they've got the Honda link up for the new regulations, like that could be a big game changer. So, and you've got Lance Stroll as a teammate, so you're gonna look fucking incredible every weekend. So, for sure, Mercedes isn't the seat that it once was. I think, depending on the driver, but it depends on the driver. If Mercedes come calling, it's hard to say no. But if you're someone like Sainz who has options, you might look at that and go, I actually don't know if that's the right place for me to go. I could go, that's a step backwards, and maybe I can go and get a longer contract at Aston Martin and help to build that into a good team, or I can go to Red Bull on a 2-year contract and feel like I can win a championship. So yeah, they're not going to have everything their own way this year for sure. When it comes to stuff like that.
It's wild.
But we'll see. We will see. But look, talking of like Ferrari signs, Ferrari have said, I think Fred Vasseur has come out and said that, they feel like they're closer to Red Bull this year, and they feel like, they've got a consistent car. I think last year they didn't feel they had a consistent car. This year they feel that they've got a consistent car. I guess, how do you think I feel about Ferrari this season, like the performance that they've had, and I guess, the progress that they've made this season? They look like a very serious F1 team this season.
Yeah. I mean, swapped out that team principal and things started to change. So, I'm very excited for Ferrari this season. I mean, last season it wasn't great, but you could tell like Fred was trying to, kind of create some progress on the team. And I feel like this year they came out the gate, like looking just like a different Ferrari, honestly, than we've seen in like the past couple seasons. They're no longer the butt of the joke. That is reserved for Mercedes now. So, it's been really encouraging to see. I mean, Fred also, I think, mentioned that they're going to start bringing upgrades early. Yeah. Because the car is consistent, so we can just upgrade it now and see what happens. Like, that is what you want to hear. I mean, it's a long season, but 3 races in, they're already like, we can add upgrades and we can start to make progress. We're no longer in, quote, I think, survival mode. He mentioned the drivers aren't in survival mode. Yeah. So I'm like, the tire degradation situation kind of looks like it's improved a lot as well.
Yeah, they've really sorted that out, yeah.
So, I mean, it looks good over there. It looks
so good over there. Hey, next year, I'm just looking at that car like, this Camry's on. Ooh, right. Look at you. Like, no, I think Fred's done a great job. And I think you look at the calm and serenity that he's brought to that team. Something that they haven't looked like they've had. Ferrari have always been this bubble of passion and emotion and the national pride of like Italy, and that pressure sometimes felt like it was weighing the team down, and that it seeped from the top all the way down to the bottom. The pit stops, the strategy, just the way that the cars were. And I just feel like Fred has brought such a calmness to that team and such like a structure. He's restructured the team. He's put people in positions where, I think they've been able to have more influence over, stuff like strategy and the aero. And like I said, like the tire deg issues that they had last season are gone. We'll see obviously at different tracks, but they look like, on their day, they look like they could take the fight to Red Bull at certain tracks. And I think that's just incredible for me. And I think looking at the progress they've made, looking at the progress, I say progress, but looking at McLaren and, how if you look at where they started last year. Yeah. And look at where they're starting this year, it's a much better start for them. So you can only imagine they're going to get better. So I feel like those 3 teams are going to be the ones fighting for podiums, pretty much all season. And I think that's good for the sport if we can just, obviously Red Bull or Red Bull, whatever. But if we could just have some fighting up front, that would just be...
That's it.
That'd be so good.
Even if Max won every single race, if I could just see some fighting, on his way to victory, I would be like, I would appreciate that so much. Like, that's all it really is. I mean, like I said, watching the 2007 season, I'm like, oh shit, like this is fun. Like this is you don't know who's going to win. You don't know who's going to be out because their engine just dies. Like, so I understand, like, now at this point, because the teams are all trying to catch up to Red Bull, it might not look like that. It might not be you know, that exciting of a competition right now. But I do feel like I hope that these teams that are kind of on the right track can kind of give us something, you know.
Anything.
Something to snack on. Yeah.
A little snack.
Little nibble.
Oh my God. Okay. So we're looking at Ferrari. They're doing great. And obviously there are rumours that John Elkann has basically thrown the bag at Adrian Newey and said, same with Lewis, blank
whatever
check.
You want.
Whatever. Hey, babe, whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's on me. Like, I've got
light work.
That's nothing. That's nothing. Papa Stroll has turned up and said, oh, is this the Bad Ballers Club? Okay. Like,
right. Oh, he said we're having a money competition?
Yeah,
okay.
It was like
I can play too. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she with the bowls with the flares coming out of it. He has reportedly made an offer to Adrian Newey to go to Aston Martin, which would be an incredible statement of intent. I mean, stuff like this doesn't happen. Like, there's no smoke without fire. So you obviously have to take these reports with a pinch of salt, but it would seem as if Adrian Newey looks like he's open to leaving Red Bull, potentially.
Yeah, he's entertaining it.
He's entertaining it, yeah. I think before, stuff like this will come out and there'd be a pretty quick rebuttal, like, I'm not going anywhere, like, you know, he's not going anywhere.
Right.
But I think with everything that's happened this season with Red Bull, I wouldn't be surprised if he just wanted to get the fuck out of there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't want to work with
time to go, yeah.
I mean, this guy...
Because what the fuck is even happening behind this is Red Bull? Like, it's too much. Like, the man just wants to make cars. Like,
you know,
y'all are doing too much.
Just wants to, like, swivel his little cars, you know, in his office. Like,
hang out with a little notebook,
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, walk around with his little notebook. And, like, he doesn't want to hang out with weirdos and like, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
So Aston Martin, I think, like, the Aston Martin offer is interesting because he wouldn't have to leave England. Probably wouldn't even have to move from his house. I think they're both based in Milton Keynes-ish, or they're close enough to each other. Right. So, I mean, what do you think about this story? Like, do you think like? I mean, it's great. I mean, for Aston Martin to do that is a great statement of intent.
Yeah,
it would mean a lot. But I mean, how realistic do you reckon the chances of that are?
I don't know. I'm excited for this because, well, Aston, I think there were some other things coming out about them potentially wanting to be like a works team. Yeah. Right. So like they're trying to like, it seems like they're really trying to like push to develop into being like a much bigger part of F1 than they already are. So I think getting Adrian Newey to come in and design a car, especially like you mentioned, we're still going to be in ground effect, you know, era for the foreseeable future. So yeah, like if they could get Adrian Newey to design their car, Lawrence Stroll's gonna look like a fucking genius, minus the fact that he keeps his son on the team. But you know, that's a whole other situation.
I love it. Do you know what? I love that. I love that. He just he's just like, he basically paid for his son to go into F1. And like Lawrence was a good junior. Like he won things. Like, and you know, but it, like his son looked like he was getting axed from Williams. I'm gonna buy this team.
Right.
And I'm gonna stick my son in like mid-season. Fuck it. Like getting there now.
He's like, I love that boy. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
He loves that boy so much. Like that is a father's love. Like I don't even know if Lance even wants it that much, but
he doesn't want to let him down. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. He bought me a team. I got it for him.
I'm gonna do it. Like, tough spot here. Like he just like Lance Stroll just wants to be on his couch playing with his girlfriend's feet. Like,
literally.
That's literally it. Like that's all he wants. He doesn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And look, I feel like Aston Martin, I actually read, if anyone wants to go listen to like how Lawrence Stroll thinks, he's a fascinating guy. His Beyond the Grid episode, which was I think like maybe like last year, maybe the year before last. But it was incredible insight into like his thinking, the way he wants to kind of go with this. He wants that team to be the best team on the grid. Like he's not there to be fourth best, whatever. The way that they've invested into their factory is insane. Like they're going to have like the newest factory essentially in F1. They are looking to be a works team. They've got Honda coming on board, and we saw how good that was for Red Bull, essentially, you know, in 2021 onwards, like them
Right.
basically being a works team and having their own resources and their own engine. Obviously, we'll see how the Red Bull powertrains go, hopefully really badly. But like, you know, the fact that they are looking to like become, I think like the ambition they're showing is great for the sport, you know, and
Yeah.
if they get new, like I said, for example, if Carlos Sainz looks at Adrian Newey going to Aston Martin,
Right.
Honda engines, you know, this brand new factory, he'll probably be able, you know, he's in the position where he'll be able to stay there for a long time. He won't have like, you know, he's bounced around a little bit, Carlos Sainz. He could probably say that will be my home for the rest of like my career,
Right. My
basically.
career. Mm-hmm.
So I just think I find it really exciting, and I hope he goes to Ferrari. I think
I do
Adrian
too.
Newey and Lewis Hamilton in the same team.
And it's on his bucket list. Like,
Yeah,
come
it
on,
really
Adrian.
is. Come
Yeah,
on,
you
bro.
gotta...
Leave England. Like, this place is a shithole. Like, honestly, this place.
Amanda wants to go to the vineyards and the, you know what I mean, the rolling hills of Tuscany. Yeah, she wants to like,
above the food, the
go
weather.
live her Italian fantasy, Adrian. You get to design a car for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton in one go, like
in one go, and you get to bring him his 8th. You know,
right?
Because it's not happening
How
this year.
fucking poetic would that be? That would be crazy,
bro.
That would
like
be nuts.
Lewis winning the title at Ferrari.
Yeah.
With an Adrian Newey car, and like I guess after everything that's happened, like you know what? Yeah, I'll be really real with you. Everything that's happened after 2021 has shown me that like karma is not real.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like
not real, or it takes a real long time. We're not going to see it in our lifetime.
Like, this is more like purgatory right now. Like, I feel like we're having to go through this horrible period to get to like heaven above. But like, if anyone didn't deserve the last 3 cars they had, it was Lewis Hamilton after 2021. Like, even like just to be able to not be in a title race, to not be able to fight for wins, to not be able to like to not have won since 2021 as someone who won every year from 2007 to 2021. Some of those cars were absolute dog shit. And it just shows how bad these cars are, that he's like, you know, not had the opportunity to win. Really, there's not been one race where you've like, again, there was a couple like Kota was one where it was like, it looked like maybe it was going to happen, didn't. You know, I think there was a Zandvoort race maybe. I think Singapore, if they'd done things differently, like he probably would have overtaken Norris and then, you know, go on from there. So it's just one of those things where I just really hope, all I hope for Lewis's move to Ferrari is that he gets an opportunity to fight for race wins. Yeah. Like, that's it. And I think the world is like, F1 is a better place for like the passion that Lewis has when he wins. Like, when he got that Hungary pole, that was like, oh my God, like such an incredible time on the timeline. I'm the king of the world. Yeah, that was crazy. People were crying. Man, I was at a wedding. I was at a wedding. My phone's blowing up. Like, everyone's like, wake up. What's going on? Like, oh my God. Like, so yeah, I really hope that the move affords him like an ability to fight for race. Yeah. And then, I think Ferrari and Lewis, great combination. Obviously, going up against Max potentially, great combination. You know, that whole history. Whatever Mercedes want to do, not much, to be honest. But I just think, I think it would be set up for wherever Adrian Newey goes. He's, you know, likely going to be the kingmaker, really, isn't he? Like, we'll see if Red Bull can carry power. It's a lot of power. No one man should have all that power. And yet, the last 3 years, he has had that power. Oh my God. He's had F1 by the ball, By the cojones. We'll see. But we will see from there. You know, I think I want to call it. Sounds good. I want to call it because I don't feel well. Oh no! I don't feel good. Like, at all. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go lie down a little bit. I think. So send me thoughts and prayers, guys. I'm gonna go lie down for a bit. But no, guys, thank you for watching. If you are, I forgot to say, subscribe to the channel. We got to 4K. Hey! Yay! Quick
up in 4K.
Hey, 4K, bitches. So no, thank you to all you subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you're listening on Apple, leave us a review. If you're on Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. And obviously got Patreon there. And yeah, we will see. I'll see you on Tuesday with the show if I feel better.
Fingers crossed.
Come out of nowhere, bruv. And obviously we will see you next weekend for the Japanese Grand Prix post qualifying session. We'll see just how bad Mercedes are.
Oh God.
Yeah, we'll see just how good Max Verstappen and Red Bull are again. Maybe Carlos Sainz will be able to get another win. Who knows? But we'll see you then. And remember, no matter what life throws at you, keep it on the black stuff. Toodle pip.
Bye.
Look, mate, if you've got this far, clearly you like what we do. So here's a link to subscribe to the Quick Stop F1 family. Give that a click. And here's another link to some more cool on our channel. Sorry, cool stuff. And remember, no matter what happens, keep it on the black stuff. Click the stuff. Click the links. Click the links. Click the links. There. They're there.